Hey everyone, it is Finance Friday. Thank you so much for joining. Amy Novakovich here, and I am so lucky to have my wonderful friend and business partner, Tamara Klingen.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
And as much as we love to talk about the investments of the week and what to buy and sell and what not to do when you're trying to build wealth, you know, it's so serious. Hey Ed, thanks for joining. This is a good one for you to watch today. It's so serious that you understand about identity theft and fraud and scams, because if you have worked your whole life to build wealth, or if you're trying so hard right now to save and you're on track and you've done everything right, even if you make every right decision, even if you think and you tell me, I know what I'm doing, I know, enough to get me to where I want to be. One wrong phone call, one wrong click on an email, on an attachment can change everything and put everything you've done in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. What is it, like one person in every three seconds
falls victim to identity theft.
Hey Johnny. Hi Eric. Welcome back. And so we're talking like $35,000 gets stolen every minute. This is insane. I mean, just the Equifax breach alone, if you've been living under a rock for the last quarter, Equifax, one of the credit monitoring companies,
one of the top three,
mm-hmm. right, was hacked for months.
For months before they talked about it or announced it in the news.
May through July, mm-hmm. and they found it at the end of July, and in August.
And they didn't announce it until September.
Right. So we didn't know about it. So almost half the country. So you have a 50-50 shot if you're a U.S. citizen. Great to see you. Jody says it sounds like you have a cold. I do have a cold. Yeah, my whole house is sick.
But with Equifax, you have like a 1 in 2 chance that your personal information could have been compromised.
And what kind of personal information? Like driver's license?
Name, address, social security number. Some people, their driver's license information.
So
everything
people can take your identity.
Would need to steal your identity.
Right. So if you feel like you know what you're doing, that's fabulous. And again, we love to talk investments. We love to talk the market. But it's so important that we cover today. We're going to cover 3 of the biggest scams, right? So identity theft, mm-hmm. internet fraud, which includes email and website phishing and things like this. And you probably see this stuff all the time, but not what we're going to get into today. I mean, we see this every day with clients. And Tamara comes from being in bank management and the independent channel mm-hmm. before this, so we got some crazy stories.
And even if you think you've seen it all, the criminals are continually evolving. Right. So they come up with new things every day. You can't see it all because they haven't created what they're going to do next week.
Especially with the little chips that they come out with on the credit cards mm-hmm. and everything. I mean, they're constantly trying to protect people, right? But so the people that are scamming have to evolve. And the third one is telemarketing fraud. So just phone calls that you get, which we see all the time. And if you're young and you think, I got it figured out, then look out for your parents, your neighbors.
Elderly, people that aren't up on what's happening out there today and not up on the technology.
Right. Well, or if you're the type of person, no matter what age, that you don't check your statements all the time, or you don't log in every day to your statements, which Ed, I know you do. But if you're one of those kinds of people that you don't log in, hey Joni, log in every day. Look, there's things that you can do. So we're going to get into how you can fix it, how you can prevent it. If you've been fortunate to never been taken advantage of, listen up to prevent it, to make sure it doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. So first one, all right, identity theft. So we did mention Equifax, but identity theft is when in any way, shape, or form somebody gets your information, right? So Jim, my husband, actually had, I don't think I even told you this, 21st Century Oncology, which is a huge radiology lab down mm-hmm. here, had one of their trucks or something when they were transporting documents to be shred, got broken into, and we got the letter saying, oh, by the way, so your information has been taken. So credit card numbers, and so we got free credit monitoring for like 3 years, I think, or something like this. But so these are the types of things. They get your identity in whatever way it takes. What was the bank that was hacked last year? Was it JP Morgan?
Chase, yeah.
And Bank of America.
Most of the banks have been hacked at some time.
That's true. That's true. So Hey, Marcy. And Jim's with Marcy. But most of the banks have been hacked, so internet fraud, identity theft. So what can you do, A, to prevent identity theft, and B, if you've been a victim of identity theft, what do you do? Because guess what? This does not just affect you for days or weeks or months. This can affect your credit. This can give you hell when you go to get a loan for years, for decades.
And it can cost thousands of dollars to correct.
Right. Thousands of dollars, especially if you have to hire an attorney or whatever.
Right.
So ways to prevent identity theft, obviously, is to make sure you know your credit report. Mm-hmm. So there are so many free ways to get your credit report right now. Just get one. Just make sure you know all your lines of credit. I would be willing to bet that anybody that's watching this that prints your credit report, there's at least one thing on there that you're going to be like, what
is that? Yeah.
Like a medical bill or, some line of credit that maybe somebody sold you that you didn't realize you were getting a line of credit, which, as we know, happens in banks all the time. You want overdraft protection?
Right.
Oh, here's a credit card. But there's so many things that you can see just from getting your credit report. So just get your credit report and
make sure all of the information is accurate.
There you go.
Because if there's anything on there that is inaccurate, you can contest it, and the credit bureau has to remove it.
But how do you contest it?
You write them a letter.
Or call?
They have.
Can't you call?
No, you can't call usually. You have to send a letter, and then they have a certain amount of time that they have to prove it or remove it.
Yeah, and so that's important. So there's the 3 credit bureaus. So there's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are the 3 big ones. And actually, they even have programs where you can sign up for monitoring alerts. If you have any type of change on your credit report. Although you have identity alert.
I do have identity alert.
Explain what that is
through my bank. And it is.
And a lot of banks have this, by the way.
A credit monitoring service, and depending on where you bank, they all usually have it. And then there's also independent companies like LifeLock and Credit Monitor that do the same services. But basically, you go online, and with mine, you just register everything, and then they alert me. If I apply for a new credit card, within probably 24 hours, I get an email saying somebody has tried to open credit.
Which is so helpful.
It is. And then I also get a monthly alert that says nothing's changed on your credit report or you have changes. And if I ever get one that says I have changes, I log on, and many times it's your credit score's gone up. If it even goes up a couple of points, it goes down.
Good to know too.
Or if your credit score goes down. But
sometimes you gotta remember these companies, like let's say you apply for a loan, right? And some of these companies
shop it. So they pull your credit several times.
Right? Or if you're going to get a car or you're shopping around, sometimes don't they sell those lists?
Some people do.
Can't they sell those lists? Or if you apply for like life insurance or long-term care insurance or any type of insurance, health insurance, some companies sell your information. So if you've ever signed a disclosure saying, something about your information, you might want to double check that because they can sell your information. Not that that's fraud, but they're selling you to other agencies that pull your credit because that's how you get those.
And you can opt out.
Right, you can
opt out. You don't have to do that. You just have to pay attention and opt out
in the mail
of your information being sold.
But that's how you get those promotions in the mail. That's how they know. If you've ever wondered, how do they know if I'm pre-approved? Well, they got your name from a list. Somebody sold them a list. So that's a way to, prevent identity theft. Know your credit report. Get like an identity alert type thing. Is identity alert just Fifth Third?
Through Fifth Third.
That's just Fifth Third's thing. But LifeLock is a good independent
and
one.
And they all offer them.
And they're cheap. What's yours, $9?
$9 a month.
I don't have one. But I do. I did call, when that happened to Jim, I did call, I think I wrote an email. I think there's an email inbox that you can alert the credit bureaus, and they'll put, for a year, 3 years, an alert on your credit.
Right.
And then you'll get those text alerts or email alerts that somebody ran your credit or somebody upped your credit card limit. That's another, that's another thing. I don't know if we get to that in internet fraud or not, but identity theft, what you got to watch out for is when you get notices in the mail. Thank you, Joan. She said this is good. When you get notices in the mail, have you ever gotten a notice in the mail saying, congratulations, your credit has been increased? That's sometimes a sign that somebody called in to try to increase
your information.
Right. So be careful with that. Like, watch your mail, guys. It's so crazy that people steal mail. But didn't you know somebody that got their mail stolen?
I did. I had a client an elderly client, it's a very unfortunate story. Someone stole her bank account, her checking account statement out of her mailbox and called her and said, if you don't go to the bank and take out $3,500 and bring it to us, or with the IRS, you're going to be arrested for tax fraud. And she was super scared, and she went to the bank and withdrew the money and went and just gave it to someone.
Met him at like a CVS
Met him at a CVS, and we questioned her, and she's like, no, I'm spending the money, but she was so scared they were going to arrest her if she didn't do it. And then she came back to get more money because they called her again and said, oh, that's not enough, you didn't get enough. And the second time she came in, we were able to talk her out of it, and that's when she told us that they had called and said they were from the IRS. And
they got a lot of this information from her mail.
They stole her checking account, so they knew how much money she had in the bank, so they knew how much to ask her for.
By the way, that's another tip. If you get credit card statements in the mail and they show your whole credit card number, like sometimes like department stores, they'll show your whole credit card number on your statement. You can call them and request that they block out all the numbers but the last four.
Right.
You can request that.
Or you can request e-statements, because then you don't have this mail sitting in your mailbox.
We need to post this. Maybe we'll do like a summary YouTube video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We always summarize these big, long videos if you don't have time to watch the whole thing. And on top of that, we're always doing other additional videos on random things that come up in the economy or whatever. We're always trying to do a bunch of videos on that. But I'll try to summarize these tips and do a YouTube video, and then we tweet them too. So follow us on Twitter at Nova Wealth Management. Management's abbreviated, MGMT. Okay.
And if these types of scams aren't something that you would fall victim to, remember that your parents, your grandparents, your elderly neighbors, they just have never heard of anything like this.
Right.
And they might fall scam to it. So it's just so important to
just anybody in your family,
talk to them about it and make sure they understand that the IRS is not going to call you and tell you they'll put you in jail.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. And you should never meet someone at a grocery store to give them money.
It sounds ridiculous, but it's so true.
It happens all the time.
Right. I have a story when we get to internet fraud of a client of mine that just unbelievable. But so internet fraud is another one. A gullible husband. Yeah. I think you're still with us. We had a phone call come through. Sorry. Internet fraud. Okay, so just to summarize, because there's some people that have joined. We talked about identity theft. Different tips on identity theft is pull your credit report, know your credit report, sign up for alerts, or sign up for like an identity protection service like
if you're not going to check your credit report regularly on your own, then sign up for a service that does it for you.
That will notify you.
It's worth the money. If you're not going to take those steps to keep up on your own information, then pay someone else to do it.
Right. And so, second thing, so now we're talking about internet fraud. So internet fraud can be actually one of two main things. So email scams, when people email you and they email you an attachment, a really common one is like FedEx. I know I get them all the time. Your shipment was delayed. See here to track it. And hello, if you did not ship anything or you're not expecting a shipment, don't open the attachment. That just goes for any email. Just don't open any attachments that you're not expecting. And if you're not sure, pick up the phone and call the people that sent it to you before you open it. Because what happens is hackers, when you open that attachment, can get into your entire computer, and if you have any saved passwords, they get them. They get the whole list, anything saved. So that's another tip. Don't save your passwords in your computer. Just don't. I already know what you're thinking. I know, well, I never remember them, and I have a paper list, and it's so annoying and frustrating. Just don't save them on your computer. There's apps and stuff now that are more secure that can save that stuff for you, but don't save it in the website. Like when the website pops up and asks you, do you want to save this password? Do not do it, okay? So the email fraud is one, and then what's the other internet fraud? Oh, well, when they hack your computer on cookies and things like that, when you click on pop-up windows, so they can people can email you and say, this was the story that I had. The email fraud. So I had a client that got emailed randomly. We're talking about internet fraud here. I had a client that got emailed randomly from a Mr. Godsend. That was the name of the person that emailed him. You would think this would be a hint. But I'm telling you, they don't know any better. Mr. Godson that said, you had an uncle that passed away, that you are entitled to some assets, and it's in the form of a trunk. So just to get you your trunk that you're entitled to, you have to wire me $10,000. Hey, Megan. Hi. So just to get the assets that you're entitled to, you have to wire me money. So email fraud, they can just randomly email you. Oh, I get emails all the time. Amy, your invoice is past due. Mm-hmm. And I don't owe this company any money. Right. Click here to pay your invoice. And they want you to click on it so that they can get into your computer. Hey, Lynn, how are you?
Another big one right now is people are getting emails, and it looks like it's from Amazon, and they're saying, yes, we need more information to process your return. I mean, let's face it, how many of us have purchased something with Amazon daily in the last 2 months daily, and also returned something?
Right.
So when I say the criminals are evolving, they're evolving. They know everyone's shopping on Amazon, and they know that most people do it because you can return it for free. So they can send out 50,000 emails, and all they need are a couple of people to follow the instructions, and then they've made a ton of money.
It's so scary, you know. So just general rule of thumb, if you get an email, even if it sounds serious, if you weren't expecting it, or you're not aware that you owe somebody money, or you're not aware of the person sending it to you, or you're not aware you sent a package, you know. So on the Amazon thing, how to prevent that, instead of clicking on the email, go to Amazon's site and log in, and you can see everything if something was Amazon and Apple. Apple's another
doing
one.
A bunch, yeah, the Apple ID.
Apple's another one. Thank you, Megan. Awesome. So Apple's another one where you're getting these emails, you return an item, or your request has been processed. A random email from any company, your request has been processed. And you're like, I didn't request anything. Vizio, the TV company, emailed me the other day and said, your request, thank you for calling our customer service. Your request has been processed. So instead of replying to the email or clicking on this email, I called Vizio, and I'm like, I have a case number. Apparently somebody called Vizio on my behalf, and they're like, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. So a random company, any random company, if you did not call, do not click on those links. Do not open attachments. And I know Lynn, who's on here, awesome accountant, by the way, if you need an accountant, who's on here, deals with that same thing. Clients open attachments, or, you know, a lot of times, like when we're sending attachments, you know, so our clients, I always tell them, if we send you, hey, Kristen, how are you? How's that cute baby boy? If you are expecting an attachment from us, we will either call you ahead of time before we email you something, or we'll send it encrypted. Right. Which a lot of companies do.
They do. And
even the banks do. Yeah.
Just if you get an email and it has a link to click on to process a return or check on your order, pick up the phone and call, or log directly into their website.
Right.
The big reputable companies are not going to send you a link to click on to finish processing your order, because that's just not how they do business.
Yeah, and so that's the first part of email fraud. And then if you ever get an email requesting a wire transfer, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay? That's an easy one. All right, last one. So for everybody joining, we have a few people joining. We're talking about different big scams and fraud that goes on, including the Equifax breach. If you were one of the 143 million people that had information compromised, go to Equifax.com and scroll down a little bit. There's a link right on their page that says, see if you've been compromised. I actually had been compromised. Tamara has not. I have. So what you have to do is they'll give you free monitoring for a year. So, again, those that missed it, if you're not sure what the Equifax breach is, they're one of the huge credit bureaus out there that monitor our credit. They were hacked from May to July. It was ongoing for 2 months, and 143 million people, or yes, half of our country,
may have been compromised.
May have been compromised, or were compromised in some way. I think.
Right, but they're saying that, you know, maybe the information was taken, but it's not been sold or it wasn't used. So your information was exposed. Whether or not you'll be compromised and have any type of fraud, you just don't. We don't know. You'll never. I mean, you'll.
So they're going to give you free monitoring for a year. But check that out. Go to Equifax.com, please. It'll take you 15 seconds to just see. They ask for your last name, last 6 of your social, and that you're not a robot.
Right away whether or not you were compromised.
Right. So do that. So we're talking about identity theft, which was the first one, and Equifax was probably the biggest recent event that happened. Internet frauds, we talked about getting random emails about sending, clicking on links or sending wires or, whatever, you inherited something, just random emails. And then also hackers on your computer, scams. A good way to avoid that, obviously a lot of people will do antivirus software, but you can encrypt your computer. Anybody with, is it Windows 10? Windows 10, Windows 8 Premium or whatever, has it automatically built in that you can encrypt your computer, which simply means that even if a hacker hacks in, it's all encrypted. They can't read it. So, hey, Frank. My buddy Frank's watching. So, the main thing we want you to take away here is just you cannot be too careful. You can't. Get your credit report, know your credit report, and get it monitored. Okay, so the last one is telemarketing fraud. So the biggest one, actually, Tamara mentioned it. It came from getting mail stolen. But ultimately, the IRS will call you and... No.
Not the IRS.
Reverse that. Too bad this is live.
And tell you you're going to jail.
Yes. The IRS will not call you. I repeat, my face is getting red. The IRS will not call you, okay? They will not call you and say you owe them money. You get letters in the mail from the IRS. Mm-hmm. You do not get called from the IRS, okay? So if somebody calls you and says, you owe me money, give me a credit card and we can take care of it over the phone, do not do it. Mm-mm. Don't ever give your credit card information over the phone, ever. Just don't ever do it. And I know this sounds like common sense, but I'm in finance and I have caught myself, and it was legit, but I've caught myself just doing it because it's easy. It's easy. And when they call and it's legitimate, it sounds like something that you've done or you've been involved in, then, it just seems natural. Like, oh, I needed to reprocess that order that you had. You're like, oh, I did do that order. I need to reprocess that, so give me your credit card information again. Or we just had a client that was called. It wasn't the IRS. Somebody called her and just said, I think it was a medical bill. It was something medical. And they said, when we were processing your insurance and you signed our agreement, when you were in the office, it didn't go through. Or we had an expired card on file or whatever. And she gave them the info. And if you're at a place like ours, like we're a boutique firm, we know your voice when you call. Mm-hmm. But if you're at a larger firm, and you've got a customer service center or you've got multiple assistants that process your stuff, so you've got a bigger bank or like one of the bigger investment firms, maybe they don't know your voice. I don't want to scare you, but there are times, and I know I've been called for a client, saying it's a client, and I knew it wasn't the client, asking for money. Now that is scary. Mm-hmm. When they call me, and they're asking for money, and I knew it wasn't her. So they had hacked her bank account. So they were calling to get money, because if I transferred the money to the bank account, they could go down and get it, because she wasn't aware it was going to be there. How scary is that?
And Ed, real quick, I want to answer your question. Okay. With the Equifax free monitoring and where you have to waive your right and only go to arbitration, if you write them within 30 days of signing up for their free service, you can opt out of that. But you have to write them within 30 days.
That's awesome that you knew that. I am so impressed. I love her. Yeah, did you hear that? So the question was, let's read the question because they can't see the questions until after.
I can barely see it, so you're going to have to read it.
If you do, now you commented again, so now it went down.
He just basically said that if you sign up because of the breach with Equifax, you sign up for their free service, that you have to waive your rights for some type of litigation. You have to agree to arbitration.
Which is a way to just talk it out.
You have to agree to not be part of a class action lawsuit, but you can actually write them within 30 days and waive all of that. But you have to do it within 30 days of signing up.
Awesome. Good. Okay, so to summarize, we talked about 3 big types of fraud or scams, and then actually I wanted to add one.
Okay.
Impromptu. Is that okay? But
Maybe.
The 3 of the biggest, she'll go along with that, I hope. 3 of the biggest. Identity theft, so the biggest one we talked about was Equifax. Go to Equifax.com and see if you were one of the 143 million people that were possibly compromised.
And if you're not going to check it all the time for yourself, then pay a service to check it for you.
Right, like a LifeLock she mentioned.
Right.
Or, your bank will have that service. But internet fraud, so if you get emails about you inherited something or send me a wire to get, something that you're owed or whatever, any type of weird email, if you're not expecting it, do not reply. Do not click on links. Do not open attachments. If you are not expecting it, it is okay and it is worth your time to pick up the phone and call and see if that was a legitimate attachment, all right? So the last thing is telemarketing fraud, when people actually call you and ask you for your credit card information or your social security number or even to verify information. They act like they're verifying information. Okay, so I have your address, so now I just need to verify your social. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're just fishing for information.
Yeah. This is insane, guys. So you can never be too careful. Monitor your credit report in whatever way you can. And then the last one that I wanted to add is just an in-person scam. We have so many clients that put money into like an oil well or a limited partnership or, actually, we still have people that get called. Hey, Amy, we actually have people that get called to buy a stock, to buy like a penny stock, to put money into a penny stock or a private stock. Look, if they're calling you out of the blue and it's a company that you don't work with, guess what? Their ultimate objective is to sell you. They're not trying to do what's best for you. So even if it isn't legitimate, even if it is legitimate, even if it actually is you purchasing a penny stock or an oil well or whatever in Texas or an actual limited partnership, they're not looking out for your best interest. They don't know you. So don't make that decision. Don't put money with someone that's calling you out of the blue that you don't know, that you don't work with. This is a way that they're trying to raise money. Their job is to sell you. So we have clients all the time. It's like $25,000 was the last one into like an oil well. I think it was in Texas. Not going to get any of that back. It's all gone. You called for like a half a day.
If it sounds too good to be true,
great tip.
Yeah. So, and also, you should be able to research and find out information about companies you're investing in. If you can't find information on that company, then you shouldn't be investing in it. And if I can't find information on it, or Amy, then definitely it's very sketchy. And
very sketchy. Look for disclosures too.
Yes, they should have written disclosures they can provide you.
This is the compliance people right here that you're talking to about disclosures. So I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you got some information out of it. Again, go to our website, novawealthmanagement.com. We always have additional resources. Oh, and as a former licensed PI, Megan did do private investigation. Never even give the last 4 digits. Some databases have all the numbers but the last 4. Awesome tip. So before I started summarizing and ending, I hope people get that. Maybe, so I'll have to post that. I'll have to do that on a YouTube channel, or we'll have to post it online. But don't even give the last 4. Don't even confirm the last 4 of your social, because they may just be fishing for additional information. Or they may have a list that they scammed from a store. They may have a list of debit cards and they're trying to match which one is yours.
Right.
Okay, so don't even give the last 4. So awesome information. I hope you guys got something out of today. Again, follow us on Twitter at Nova Wealth Management. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll always post videos summarizing these and giving awesome tips on how to help you,
And if you get anything and you have questions about it, don't hesitate to call us.
Or reach out to us just on the website. If you don't even have our number, just email us.
We'll be happy to tell you if we think it's fraudulent or if it's legitimate.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for joining. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.